How's it going? Similar to Jesse, I kind of got started and realized I have a whole talk's worth of things, so I tried to scope this pretty aggressively. It's totally my power. So I want to talk about amazing CLIs featuring Node and random other things from the internet. A CLI is a command line interface. It's basically you type text in and hit enter, and that's like your interface to the application. This is a visualization of a CLI. It's probably what most people think. I kind of think more like text-powered game, like the game, like this is the interface to the game, which is really more fun to think about than hackers from the 80s. So like the other thing is like this is the antithesis of a graphical user interface, which like is really handy to kind of figure out like what your alternatives are. Like when you're trying to say like, okay, I have an application, I need to find an interface. Is this like more suited for something that looks like this or something that should go in the terminal? And this is where I like to give a warning. Your CLI is not your app, and your GUI is not your app. You have an app, and these are interfaces to your app, which is really important to think about. Like, again, kind of when I was sitting down to do this talk, like I was looking at a lot of the CLIs I've done. I'm like, I'm a terrible person. Like, this is not structured well. But when I say interface, it's just like a way for your user to access the functionality of your app. A great example of this is Git, because it has clients that are both command line and graphical. And so Git is like exists up here, and you have these different ways to access it. You could arguably say like GitHub is an interface to Git. But anyway, so on Twitter, I did a little research to figure out what people's favorite command line tools are. And that kind of led me to think about like some types of tools. So you kind of have like your single purpose tools, which would be like JQ, which takes JSON and makes it pretty. So like when you curl something, it's not just like robot vomit. You can kind of like visually parse what's going on. You have like the suite of tool things, which would be like your JS framework -CLI. I don't care. Vue, React, Ember, they like all have their CLIs, which is typically where you'd wrap up like generator stuff, server stuff. Like so, it's just like kitchen sink of CLIs. Then you have like interactive CLIs, which I feel like kind of blur the lines on CLI, but this would be like Vim or Emacs, where it's like you kind of have a graphical user interface, but not really because you're just putting text in. I don't know. And somebody else on the internet pointed out that if you go to Homebrew, you can kind of like view this analytics page, and you can see the most popular command line tools, which is obviously Node is at the top. I don't know why Python's on there. That's weird. Probably a mistake. Just kidding. So like kind of looking at some of the pros and cons of CLIs. When you have this app and you're like, how do I want to have my user like interface with my app? You would want to consider CLIs for things where you want it to be super concise and expressive, extremely configurable, especially if you're automating something or composing something together, which I'll give an example of that later. But essentially, like if it's running on CI, you don't want to like spin up Selenium and like click on some thing. Like you want like, here's my command, and this is like super configured to do exactly what I need to do again and again and again. The cons of it, like most people outside of this room probably won't know what a CLI is. I mean, there's obviously people outside this room that do, but like if you just go like talk to somebody at Starbucks, it's like, hey, install this app on your phone. It's like, okay, I can do that. But if it's like, hey, just go to Homebrew, do brew, like this, like you've lost them. So obviously some domain stuff. And also like another big, like it's really hard to explore CLIs versus like point and clicking on things, which is why like Quake has it's not like a text adventure, like turn left, turn left, turn left, like you would die really quick with that. And then I want to end on 10 great tips for CLI, which will go very fast. Clear and concise purpose. Don't make it a mystery like hamburger CLI. Like people are gonna be like, I don't know what this does. It's not making hamburgers. Be easy to use. Like don't require 17 flags to get it to do something. And if you do, be helpful. Like be like, hey man, you or woman or person, you probably should like put in some like you're missing a port number or something critical to this. Play well with others. This is like if you look at like a lot of the Unix tools, you can like pipe things into each other. So like I want to like put out all the text of this endpoint, and I want to count the times that I see the word cat and then I want to do something else. Like you want to make sure that you're thinking about the inputs and the outputs of your program so that you can basically, people can use your programs to build bigger, better programs. Delight casual users. Again, this is like, I like Git does this all the time when I type origin with 2 I's and it's like, did you mean origin or did you like, you want to go read these stocks? Here's the link. Good configuration, distribute painlessly. Like NPM's a great example of this because like if I have to go to SourceForge to use your CLI, I'm probably not going to do it. Write tests, be easy to maintain, and obviously there's exceptions to this which are great. So if your favorite CLI doesn't do any of these things and you love it, that's totally cool too. And just to end, there's some of my CLIs I make, which I'll preface, I usually have like minor annoyances, which kind of leads my rage to drive my development, specifically like dport. I always end up like, you can't run port 3000. So it's like, I always looked at the same Stack Overflow article for like how to look up what's running on port 3000, how to clear port 3000. So I was like, that's a great candidate for a CLI. So you can just type dport 3000. On the same theme, like I do Ember, so there's like if I do Ember install Ember rando port, it will like put your project in a random port. Or this one, which I think is a good example of composing, like basically if I do Ember O in my project, it will open the project on the right port in a browser, which is it. That's it.